Hello everyone, John from Terra Health Coaching. I am so excited to announce this week's podcast. It is a hot topic out there. It is Ozempic, it is Wegovy, it is weight loss. It is this new drug formulation that is taking TikTok by storm. It's taking the news by storm, 60 Minutes and everything else. What is going on? We got a specialist here. I've been trying to get him on for a couple months. I've known him for a few years. We always exchange messages, but Dr. Garth Davis, a lifestyle medicine advocate, an obesity specialist, a bariatric surgeon, a published author. You can find him on social media, breaking down the evidence-based research on both sides. Both sides. So he's in a very unique position to educate us today. Now, I didn't come in as a huge fan of Ozempic, Wegovy, GLP-1s. It looks like the new quick fix that America is always searching for, and it's going to create the same roller coasters that we always get with weight loss. But listen to what Dr. Garth Davis talks about in terms of educating us on how it fits in with lifestyle medicine, how it fits in with the mental piece of this world that we live in. So please listen in. I hope you enjoyed. He educated me. He's going to educate you, and please come back with feedback. This is such a hot topic today in America, and the health of our nation. Thank you so much, and enjoy.
Our healthcare system doesn't support lifestyle change as a method to heal, and that's why we started Terra, to shift healthcare towards a preventative model by supporting healthcare professionals who want to implement behavior change into their practice, but may not have the resources to do so. We believe that lifestyle change should be everyone's first step to getting healthy, but most healthcare professionals don't have enough time to educate and keep their patients accountable on a daily basis. Terra has over 50 health coaches with various backgrounds and specialties to align with your patient's needs. Not only do we save you time and make you money, but truly improve your patient outcomes. It is easy for your patients to get started. Have them schedule a free breakthrough call with us to find the right coach and program. Their coach will take them through a lifestyle assessment, weekly coaching calls, and daily habit tracking. Schedule a time with us today to see how we can support your practice.
I want to read off 5 things for you and see what your thought is.
Sure.
On it.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's do it.
So 5 quick topics, which again, this is just absolutely crazy. TikTok, Ozempic, or hashtag Ozempic, 700 million views. Hashtag Ozempic for weight loss, 250 million views. Calibrate, which is a digital health company that prescribes GLP-1s, $100 million raise last year. I was confused at the time. Now I'm not so confused anymore about how they did that. Sequence, purchased by Weight Watchers recently, a telehealth provider that also issues prescribes GLP-1s with some health coaching, purchased by Weight Watchers. And I saw an interesting quote at one of I think a financial analyst that covers Weight Watchers that said, did Weight Watchers just put itself out of business by purchasing Sequence? Like the vice versa of it. Maybe that's the answer instead of lifestyle change and changing nutrition, which is an interesting statement. I went to a business coalition event, all the employers in my area, and the topic was how to handle obesity in the workplace. It was sponsored by Novo Nordisk. It was how to cover the cost. And lastly, Jimmy Kimmel used Ozempic in his opening monologue at the Oscars, joking about how many of the celebrities were on it prior to the event. So, Dr. Davis, what is going on?
Yeah, what's going on? And today's supposed to be a surgery day for me, doing weight loss surgery, and I don't have any surgery today. We may have put ourselves out of business a bit. What's going on is we've found a cure for a real problem, and it's a real cure, and it really works. There are caveats to that. This does not have to be a lifestyle versus a medicine type argument. They kind of go together. I think what you got to understand, first of all, you look at the human body, the human anatomy, the human physiology. We are built to withstand fasting. We were evolved hundreds of thousands of years ago in feast or famine. We've got a big, gigantic stomach. I know this because I cut them out a lot. That big, gigantic stomach is made for feast or famine situations, so that when there was food around, because there wasn't always food around, you eat a lot of it. The stomach has a lot of capacity. That stomach secretes a hormone called ghrelin that feeds back to your brain. That's telling you, feed me, feed me, feed me. You put that in an environment, where we spend our dollars on junk food, where, the government says, if you look at what the recommendations are from the government as to what we eat, whether it's in Canada or America, they're pretty decent recommendations. A quarter of the plate from fruit, a quarter of the plate from vegetables, a quarter of the plate from starch. These are great suggestions. Now, when you look at where the government spends money on food, that isn't what you get, right? They're spending all their money on meat, dairy, eggs, and ultra-processed foods. And so it's very cheap to get foods that are very bad for you. Now, you take that abundance of bad food, you take this environment where we hardly have to move because everything is brought right to us on video cameras and everything. And you put that together with our genetics, which is a feast or famine type model, and you get serious obesity. So we obviously, this has been getting worse and worse over the years. Our genes haven't been changing, but our genes have made us susceptible to the changing environment that the food brings us. What these medications do is they work on a certain hormonal pathway in the human body, GLP-1 specifically, which is a hormone that's secreted by the latter part of our intestine. It's there. It's part of this phenomenon called the ileal brake. The ileal brake is kind of like, how you go and you eat a meal and you keep eating and you're hungry, and then pretty soon you're like, oh my God, I ate too much. That's the ileal brake. The ileal brake is kind of putting an end to the eating, and that is GLP-1 mediated. And that's when that food gets to that part of the intestine. The GLP-1 is secreted, and it makes you stop eating. By giving people that GLP-1, that goes to the brain and makes you not hungry, and it slows your stomach emptying. And what that does is it basically changes. So there's this phenomenon. Because if you take someone who's overweight and you put them in a functional MRI machine and you show them food, their brain lights up like crazy. Like if I took a skinny person and I did this MRI on them, their brain would be like, meh, to, a cheeseburger. But to an overweight person, it would be like, oh my God, I want that cheeseburger. What this medication does is allow them to not have that, oh my God, I need that cheeseburger. And when they're in that situation where they're not that hungry, they then can make better choices. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then, okay, so I heard you say before a cure, a potential cure to the problem here. But there was a study that I saw, a slide that showed 2.4 milligrams over 120 weeks. And at 69 weeks, you're at about 18% body weight loss. And then at 120 weeks, you're at 6% body weight loss after you're off.
After you're
right?
off.
That was like kind
correct.
of the after you're off. So kind of, in the employer world, there was a lot of questions from the brokers that they raised their hands when I was at that event that said, okay, so how long do they need to be on this? Because that's a significant, is it forever? Is it for 6 months? Is it for a year? What's the question, being a lifestyle medicine advocate, right, we work with some DPC docs, some primary care docs that prescribe this and then nothing else. What's your take on that as a potential cure or a combination lifestyle medicine with Ozempic, the new hot one out there, or kind of lifestyle medicine versus Ozempic, because a lot of people say everyone wants the quick fix. What's your kind of thought on when you come off the drug, you get it right back?
Okay, so if you ever do a study of lifestyle medicine versus Ozempic, lifestyle medicine is going to lose. All right, I want lifestyle medicine to win. That is my interest, is that lifestyle medicine wins. It won't win. I've been doing this too long. If someone is hungry, if someone's being driven by, you got to understand, when you lose weight, we've just touched on some of the hormonal effects. When you lose weight and you lose fat secretes a hormone called leptin. When the leptin levels start to drop, your brain is going to read that as, oh my God, back to this ancient days. Oh, the leptin level's dropping. This person is starving. I'm going to make them eat. and I'm going to slow their metabolism. I've seen so many studies now, and you got to understand the you got to give the companies Novo Nordisk and the other companies like Lilly that are coming up with these drug formulations and doing the testing. They are doing very elaborate testing. Their stage 3 testing is just, it's out of this world. It's very good. And there's a control group, and the control group is doing lifestyle type changes. And they're not getting anywhere close to the weight loss that Ozempic is getting. We've seen this in many surgery studies, like the Stampede trial, where there was a lifestyle group versus a surgery group. Lifestyle group didn't even come close to the surgery group, not in the same realm. Right. It's almost laughable, the descent. And the problem is, if we're going to live in an environment, yes, if we trapped someone in a hospital and left them in a hospital and we fed them and they didn't have to make any choices, lifestyle would do great, obviously. Right. But that's not the situation our patients live in. They live in a situation where there's a McDonald's on every corner, where they are faced with feeding a family on a limited budget, where they could get a big, chicken for the fried chicken for everybody for nothing. So we have to understand that lifestyle medicine won't work by itself. Now, the question remains, can Ozempic or Wegovy or majority of these, can that create a situation where you break away from the habits and learn lifestyle changes that could then be used long term? Now, that's what I'm hoping that I could do with it. I'm hoping that in my program, I could put people on it, teach them a way to stimulate GLP-1 in their body without actually taking the medicine, which you could do through foods, which we could talk about, and learn other mechanisms. It's hard for me to teach someone how to eat healthy when they're starving. It's easier for me to teach them how to eat healthy when they're not starving, so that as we wean off the medication, maybe they could then use these true lifestyle methods aimed at taking care of hunger.
No, I was gonna say, when you said when they're not hungry, right? Teach them these things when they're not hungry. I sometimes use, when talking to docs, is we're not against that at all, because it gives them the confidence that they're actually seeing weight loss. There's a huge behavioral factor in there, and just the confidence level and what's attainable, that if they are seeing weight loss, they are going to be jumping into all sorts of new stuff to make this happen, whatever it's coming from. So if you can combo those two together and find that right match, I think that's, I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to me to what we should be aiming for. And in fact, the interesting thing with this GLP-1 that a lot of insurance companies are starting to clue in on is these patients with their weight loss, their blood pressure gets better, their diabetes gets better. And so this medication may replace other medications in the future, and maybe they're on one medication. I don't know what the future is going to be. And, we're still pretty early into this. I mean, look, the meds are not new. There's a lot of this thought that they're new. They're not new. They've been around since the early 2000s for diabetes. And we're just now using them for other indications. But I mean, you got to start thinking, what are the long-term scenarios? Are we going to, and people are looking at this. What about muscle mass loss? What about risk of thyroid cancer? What about the risk of pancreatitis? I mean, there are real risks, but the benefits certainly seem to be outweighing the risks right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask you about, another thing that's going on social media is the Ozempic face as one of the negative things that's going against that. What is that? I mean,
it's not the Ozempic face, it's the weight loss face. If you take someone who's morbidly obese with a lot of fat, we see it with weight loss surgery too, and you lose a tremendous amount of fat, you're going to lose fat in your fat pads. And if you're an older person, especially, because it's natural as we age to lose fat in different parts of the face. If you go look at my face from 20 years ago, this is, it's more of a baby face. And so that's all that is. That's not anything specific to Ozempic. It's kind of a really made-up term. It's what happens when you lose weight.
Got it. And then other concerns I've heard or read about are eating disorders and how it kind of messes up with the actual mechanical functions of kind of when you're hungry, what foods, does it turn off foods? Are there any certain foods, like you said before, you said there were some certain foods that can trigger the GLP-1s or vice versa. Is there anything in terms of that's real?
So there's kind of two different questions there. Will GLP-1s trigger eating disorder? I don't think so. I don't think they. I think we're getting a little bit disordered. I mean, I got people asking for this medication that have no business needing this medication, and as you alluded to, Jimmy Kimmel making fun of, Hollywood's using it. I mean, people are using this all over the place. It's interesting. It's such an interesting drug. I mean, people take a shot of this and you got to see their reaction. It's like, oh my God, this is what normal feels like. They're just like, oh my God, I don't have this like dying need to like constantly think about food. It's like a relief. Yeah. They're very, and so they're almost, it's not an addiction in that your body can't live without it, but it's like they're addicted to this feeling of what they consider as normal. It's probably not normal. It's probably normal to want to eat, genes are keep us eating. Yeah. But to them, it's this feeling of, oh my God, my whole life, it's been a monkey on my back with eating. And that goes away. Is there a way of replicating that with food? And there is. I mean, we know you could stimulate that ileal brake several ways. One way is late deliveries. Remember, this is the distal part of the small intestine that secretes this hormone. If we could get fats to that distal part of the small intestine to stimulate the GLP-1 before they get absorbed, the way to do that is kind of interesting. So it turns out that dark green vegetables, chlorophyll-filled vegetables, things like spinach, they have an effect on an enzyme called lipase, which breaks down fat. And they stop the lipase from working. So if you have let's say you eat an avocado spinach salad. The spinach blocks the lipase effect. The avocado is then able to get to the lower intestine better, and it stimulates the GLP-1. The other thing that works really well is resistant starch. Resistant starch are starches that have been cooked and then cooled. You could buy resistant potato starch. You can buy green bananas. There's now powders of powdered green bananas and powdered potato starch. And there's a fiber also called inulin. Now, what resistant starch and inulin do, they don't specifically stimulate GLP-1. What they do is they help you grow the right bowel bacteria that then secretes a fatty acid that then stimulates the GLP-1, a short-chain fatty acid, propionate, that stimulates it. Now, you will find that eating a plant-based diet increases GLP-1, believe it or not. And you'll find that people that really adopt, I mean, look at the BROAD study. Do you know the BROAD study? So in the BROAD study, they took a group of people, put them on a plant-based diet. In 6 months, they had excellent weight loss. They went back to see them at a year, and a lot of them were still doing the diet, even though the study was over. Now, why is that? Because they weren't hungry. And why are they not hungry? Because they've now built the right bacteria that is then secreting GLP-1, or at least that's my theory. And then the other thing, of course, with plant-based diets is you're eating food that stretches your stomach to stimulate your vagus nerve, which is another feed into the hypothalamus about hunger. But you're doing that without a lot of calories. So, yeah, to me, a real, true plant-based diet. I mean, I don't like when, in the literature, vegans tend to weigh less. And in studies that compare a vegan diet to other diets, you tend to lose more weight. But it's not the absolute change is not that tremendous. But that's because people aren't really on a good plant-based diet. It's like a junk food. You look at the fiber in these studies, and like the Oxford vegan study, the fiber was like 20 grams or 25 grams. That's nothing. I want my patients eating 40 to 45 grams of fiber a day. You're eating that much fiber a day, you're getting the same effect as maybe not quite the same effect, but you're getting a similar effect as the Ozempic. The problem is this is hard to get people to do that. I've been struggling to get people to do that for 20, 25 years. It's just hard to do.
Yeah, in the wonderful world of America, man. And you're down in Texas. You're down in Texas too, so it's just that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
It's an absolute struggle. I wish I could say Look, if everybody ate the way I ate, we wouldn't need to do GLP-1. But I also can't put myself in
Yeah.
someone else's shoes. I've never, I've been overweight. I've never been morbidly obese. It's just not in my genes. So it's hard for me to say, oh, just eat the way I eat, because I don't feel the way they feel. So I started off not as hungry as they were. And so I'm able to make these changes, and I've been educated and thankfully in a socioeconomic class where I can afford to go to a Whole Foods and get these, foods. And so I can't compare myself to my patients. And in my patient's situation, when they're sitting across from me, I tell them, I want oatmeal and berries for breakfast. I show them the plate method with a quarter of the plate legume and a quarter of the plate complex starch and half the plate vegetables. We go over Blue Zone diets. But then I look at their diet log 3 weeks later. It's nothing like that. And there's multiple reasons like that. But I put them on the shot, and all of a sudden they're eating like that. And so right now I'm really trying to use a combination of the two.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, and exactly what we're shooting for with a lot of our primary care docs, and educating them on that, as how useful that can be. I'm glad you brought this up. And it was funny when you said like being obese. You've never been obese. I haven't been obese. But when we work with a lot of our lifestyle medicine patients, or our referrals that come to us from docs, a lot of the weight loss candidates, the ones that are looking for weight loss kind of on the cover, once we peel back the layers of the onion, there's a lot more there. But when they would just want weight loss, they end up gravitating towards our coaches that have been obese or overweight in the past and have gotten themselves right, just because they gravitate towards them on just the health coaching aspect. They've felt that feeling before. It's a nice back and forth because they've been there and back. So it's not, it's good to hear that
you may be tapping into the true missing entity in what I'm doing, in that I see my patients once a month, if even. And we know that the more frequently you see the patient, the easier it is to stick to these lifestyle changes. I mean, I see a patient for 30 minutes. There's just no way I'm going to be able to get through. Now, you start talking about a lifestyle program where you're getting frequent contact and have a coach that's constantly coaching you around. We might see, when you look at these studies, like I told you, that if you compare lifestyle to Ozempic, they don't compare. But the lifestyle studies aren't nearly as intensive as what you guys are doing. And so maybe if we had a more intensive lifestyle group, we would have better changes.
I threw it on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago. If anyone was out there that would want to do a parallel study that is Ozempic plus lifestyle medicine and just Ozempic, and then at a certain point you turn it around and you see if the longevity of the true lifestyle medicine coaching is that much of an impact, and you don't see that much of a weight gain back. So we'll see if I can get that going at some point.
Yeah, that would be a good study. It needs to be a long-term study. I'm so done. I'm so done being interested in people losing weight in the next month or 2 months. I want to know what people weigh 5 years from now. That to me is the answer. And unfortunately, we just don't see good weight loss. I mean, the Ozempic trial is 3 years. What's it going to be at 5? We don't know. I mean, we know with weight loss surgery what's going on, and so we got to see how Ozempic does compared to that. Long-term lifestyle changes, we just don't have any long-term studies. The best we have is to look at cultures like the Seventh-day Adventists, et cetera, that have lived a certain way for many years, and just extrapolate from there.
Yeah. All right, no, this was great. There was a lot of good stuff in here. Number one, educated everyone that's going to watch this on the details of Ozempic and weight loss coming from an expert. So thank you for that. And also, I think we came up to Ozempic being a huge help out there for those that are struggling, and partnering it up with some lifestyle medicine could really change in people's lives. All right, Dr. Davis, thanks so much. Glad we finally got this done. I've been looking forward to it. Man. Thank you, everyone, for listening in on that unbelievable conversation with Dr. Garth Davis. Now, he taught me a lot, and hopefully he taught you a lot. I came into it more negative on these GLP-1 drugs for weight loss, but there's a lot of negative light being thrown at them in the media and whatnot. But there's a lot of positive things as well, because the near-term results are so profound. Now we need to marry them up the right way with the lifestyle medicine coaching support to get the longevity piece to stick. America doesn't need another yo-yo diet, another quick fix. So if you're listening and you're intrigued, reach out, happy to chat or connect you with Dr. Davis. And let's come up with a way, if you are a practitioner or if you're an employer and these are being requested of you, are they covered by your benefits package? Or if you're a practitioner, patients are asking you for them. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. And if Tara can help and our coaches can help bundle a package together with the lifestyle medicine is a core piece of the therapy, then that will help them build offensive, healthier lifestyle habits going forward on top of the weight loss, so then that weight loss sticks and more metabolic improvements happen. So thank you again. Hope you learned a lot. I certainly did, and we'll talk to you soon.
You can connect with us through the link in the description or at terrahealthcoaching.com by clicking Get Started. Reach out to us so we can strategize on how to implement lifestyle medicine into your world.